How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by we the people. We the people, we the people, we the people. We have to remember that. We have to remember our worth. But before we get into some very serious matters, I want to transfer to the geniuses in el studio, which is El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba. Good morning, my brothers. How you guys doing?
Give me that internet back, man.
Yes.
I sent Jack out the other day to go get it, and he came back empty-handed.
Jack.
I ripped all the Cat 5 cables out. I thought I had it.
At least that's a start. Anyway, guys, what's going on, my man?
Well, it is Monday morning at the radio, the 25th of August, 2025, just a little after 6 o'clock at KPFT Houston. And we are all here. Well, Mayana's not here this morning. Otherwise, I would be up in my lair doing work. But now I get to come down here and do the Lord's work, because the Lord has blessed the show.
Blessed be unto thee.
He's also blessed us with some wisdom too from Jack, so let's hear that.
All right, I like your Medicare, the Democrats championing Medicare this morning. Medicare for all. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me. That's going to be the major subject of discussion. Yes, sir.
Medicare for all would solve so many problems. Access to affordable health care is what the poor and the working poor cry out for. So yes, the Democrats would be crazy not to champion Medicare for all. In the abuse of the Medicare take advantage of you policies, take the worry away from the people's lives about where they're going to get low-cost health care. The corporations would benefit because they could take the cost of health care off their bottom line, but they would also be taking away their profits they make off of health care. One of them bad things, but we can live with that.
Yes, we can.
Their workers would be happier and healthier, so this is a win-win for Democrats and the people. Couple Medicare for all and the restoration of women's reproductive rights, and you've got a fight worth fighting. We've kind of let women's reproductive rights slip off the narrative. We need to place it front and center in the quest to overturn the Trump administration's
fascism
stuff. I'll just say stuff.
Well, you can say fascism if you want to.
Fascism, fine, but I was thinking something else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It starts with an S too. Yeah, stuff and the other one.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't use the other one on radio because it's one of those 7 words, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That one in the end. You don't want that.
All right, folks, we got a great show for you. Great hearing your voice, Senor Howard. You haven't been sitting in that chair for a while. I know you've been up there doing your magic otherwise. Welcome aboard, Pamela R. Daniels in Lansing, Michigan. Kat is also in the house. And on the other side of the stream, Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Still waiting for more of our folks in our chat. Anyway, we have a great program for you today. Tell you what, let's start where Brother Jack left off. The article that I want to start is an article written by a friend of the program, Dr. Dean Baker, economist from the, what is it called? CEPR, I believe. He is the economist from what it's called, the Center for Economic and Policy Research. And in perusing last night, I found this article that he wrote actually yesterday, or he posted yesterday, titled, "If Dems want to beat Trump, they should embrace Medicare for All." If Democrats want to convince voters that they will make their lives better, they need to be identified with policies that will make their lives better. But before I start, I want everybody that's listening to me to hear me and hear me well. I have been getting a lot of ads, an inordinate amount of ads about Medicare. And these guys have infested not just print ad, not just television ads, not just not just regular radio ads, but they are now all over TikTok. They're all over Instagram. They're all over YouTube, purporting to have quick videos, free videos for you to give you advice on Medicare. That's what they tell you. I got one on TikTok and I wrote back and I excoriated the company. Of course, I know it means nothing to them, but I want them to know that we know that they're lying to the American people as they're talking about Medicare. What they're really talking about is Medicare Part C, aka Medicare Advantage. And they're trying to make you believe that they're going through a whole lot of different choices that may be what's best for you. That's what they're purporting to do. In effect, what they're doing is trying to get all of you that are about to turn 65 to jump onto Medicare Advantage immediately, or those that are not, those that are on traditional Medicare, they're trying to get you on Medicare Advantage. I know those of you that are regulars hear me speak on this ad nauseum, but I want you all that are maybe a little bit bored with me speaking about this because we speak about it often, to please give those who haven't heard about it or know about it, or those who are first time listeners to the program, which we get every day, let's have some grace because this is something that will be affecting people for the rest of their lives. And I think as a community radio station, as a public radio station, as a station whose purpose is to educate, it is something that we must do. Welcome aboard, Jacqueline Campigi, teacher from Katie, the most important profession in the world. Thank you for what you're doing. Harry Denson, good morning, he says, to the state of Texas, and a lot more. Thank you for being here, Harry from Missouri City, Texas. And JRC has joined us as well. Thank you so kindly for being here. Medicare, Medicare, Medicare. So now here is my my pleading to all of you. Because if all of us work together, we can actually get a better healthcare system. But if we fall for the lies, if we fall for the deception, if we fall for the fast talking salesperson, together we fall. Because eventually, as Medicare Advantage take up more and more of our people, it recently crossed 50% of people choosing Medicare Advantage, choosing their demise. It has gotten over 50%. And when we get more and more people, that will give those corporations that own politicians the rationale to tell their politicians, hey, you only have to hurt 30% of the people because we have 70% of the people that are locked in. And notice I just said locked in. Medicare Advantage loves you until you get very, 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 very sick. If you are not a very, 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 very sick person, Medicare Advantage loves you. Because for every single one of you, they collect a big chunk of change from the Medicare Trust Fund, goes directly into their pockets. And we all pay for that. And when you get sick and require services for your serious illness, for those who say, I love my Medicare Advantage, please don't get very, very, very sick, or enough of you in a particular plan. Please don't get very, very, very sick, because at that point, you're hosed. And at that point, you cannot go back to traditional Medicare. Well, you can still go back to traditional standard Medicare, but the 20% Medigap that covers the private part of traditional Medicare that you need to get, that you probably should get, that covers the 20% of your illness, will be unaffordable or something you cannot even buy because the actuarial tables will price it out of your possibility. Look, Medicare Advantage can seem cheaper because we, the people of the United States, are paying the corporations that give you Medicare Advantage more money than we give traditional Medicare per person. It's a theft, it's a fraud, and no pretty talk can put lipstick on that pig. But they're going to tell you nice words, and it's going to sound pretty, and they're going to buy you breakfast, lunch, or supper, or they're going to give you a gym membership, or they're going to give you $100 for groceries. If they can give you $100 for groceries, think about what they are making people. It's a fraud. And while some may temporarily do well on it, don't get sick. Don't get very, very sick and be in a plan that where the people happen to then get very, very sick. If it were all that good, you would not have to renew it every year. But you renew it every year so they can sock it to you, increase your prices. My brothers and sisters, you are about to get a shock. And this one, you don't have to wait till after the election. And this is going to apply to all of us. When those of you who are on the exchange, many of you don't know you're on the exchange, but you're on the exchange. When you go to the exchange this year and find out that your beautiful, big, beautiful bill did not renew the subsidies instituted by El Señor President Joe Biden that gave subsidies to your health care. When you find out you no longer have that, you'll be seeing the doubling or more of your premiums for healthcare because it will no longer be subsidized. That's why you're now seeing ads put out by conservative organizations that are trying to get Cornyn reelected, telling Cornyn, reinstitute the subsidies or we will lose. But do you think Trump is going to reinstitute the subsidies? He needs the money to give it to the wealthy. He needs the tariff dollars that you are paying, that all of you are paying. Walmart says they may have to start raising the prices. They have been currently eating the tariffs. They have been taking the hit on the tariffs. But all these companies are starting to say we're going to have to raise prices. Have you been to the grocery stores lately? Have you been to buy car insurance lately? Folks, it has already begun. And you can make the change. All right. I want to start on what Brother Dean Baker, Dr. Dean Baker has to say. This is an opportune time now for Democrats to push for Medicare for all. Any Democrat not pressing for Medicare for all right now is in the hands they are stooges of the insurance industry against you. I repeat, for every Democratic politician listening to me right now, if you are not supporting Medicare for all for your constituents, and I'm not only talking for your traditional Medicare or your Medicare aged constituents, I'm not just talking about people 65 and over, I'm talking about everybody. Any politician, and specifically any Democrat not supporting Medicare for all and moving us to Medicare for all at this point in time, they are working against you, their own constituents. Now, at a time when we don't, this is from Brother Baker's piece, and you guys have heard me interview him several times here at KPFT. At a time when we don't know if we will have real elections in 2026 and 2028, It may seem a bit absurd to be plotting an agenda for Democrats, but it is essential. While polls show approval for US President Donald Trump and Republicans is plummeting, people are not flocking back to Democrats. A major reason is that people don't know what Democrats stand for, other than not being Donald Trump. While that is an important credential, democracy does still mean something to many, and that alone is not likely to convince voters to come out and pull the Democratic lever. Most people do feel they are being screwed by the rich. They have a good case which has gotten a lot better in the 7 months Donald Trump has been in office. His endless tax breaks for the rich and corporations, coupled with all sorts of giveaways from the crypto scams to giving the right to dump their crap on our lawns, i.e., pollute without constraints, should convince any doubters that we have a government by and for the rich. Let me pause there, because what Dean Baker did not say in that piece is that for our American people to know this, they have to be informed of this, and our mainstream media is not doing that. On Friday, we had Bolton's home searched by the FBI. That became the story for the entire day on every cable network. Over and over again, they're searching Bolton's home. They're searching Bolton's home. And then they put a big narrative about the FBI searching Bolton's home. Okay, they're searching Bolton's home. You're not going to know what they pick up. You're not going to know any of these things until they tell you about it. So why spend 24 hours solid talking about Bolton's house being searched, Bolton's house being searched, a former national security officer for Donald Trump being searched? During that, I wrote a piece. I'm going to finish Dean Baker's piece in a minute, but I was so irate on Friday that what I did is I wrote a piece that I sent out titled, and let me get the title, "The Mainstream Media is Reactive. I will continue to be proactive." And the one thing I said, and I'm going to just read that little section before I get back to the brother's article. Over the entire wall-to-wall coverage of B-roll running on Bolton, there was no new information. However, there are many stories that these networks could have covered to fulfill their duties as the fourth estate, which is supposed to be our unbiased source of truth, which is supposed to be that which is informing us away from politicians, away from corporations. They should have spoken about the enhanced ACA subsidies expire in December. As such, many will get sky-high health insurance premiums in 2 months when they visit the health exchange to purchase or renew their health insurance. Why aren't you hearing that in vogue? Are you just waiting to be shocked in October and November? Why isn't the media telling you that ad nauseum? The one big beautiful bill will significantly affect Medicare Advantage recipients in the short term, particularly through automatic Medicare cuts and changes to eligible and Medicare savings programs. The losses are immense and they occur before 2026. Remember, there's something called pay-go. And because Donald Trump's budget was so darn out of whack, pay-go comes into effect, such as sequestration occurs. Those fancy words simply mean they're cutting Medicare by over $500 billion. The Defense Meteorological Satellite Program. This is hurricane season, guys. We need as much data so we can give the best information to people so they can know if they need to leave their homes early enough to get to higher ground, to get to safer ground. But he has cut the Defense Meteorological Satellite Program, crucial for hurricane forecasting and other severe weather modeling. That was done in his new bills as well. Hey, isn't that more important than running 24 hours straight of Bolton House being searched? Budget revisions have removed another one. Budget revisions have removed air and ocean pollution sensors from NOAA's next generation GEOXO weather satellites. That means future satellites will no longer track key environmental pollutants. That affects us not just today, that affects us tomorrow and going forward. Lucky for us, the European and Indian space programs are likely to have some of that, but it's going to be their data, not ours. The NIH has cut funding for many research projects on diseases. Oh, wait, Dean Baker is talking about Medicare for all. But guess what? All these diseases, pandemics, etc. Hey, another one. The administration shuttered the USAID's Predict Zoonotic Disease Surveillance Program designed to detect novel virus and pandemics. Uh-oh. So the next pandemic, we're blind. There's so much for the media to talk about instead of hyperventilating about searching Bolton's home. And that's why you have us, folks. That's why you must have us. That's why we must be there. But continuing with Brother Dr. Dean Baker's piece, Democrats need to make the case that there's something different that will be hard when so many are openly in bed with crypto scammers and other Wall Street high rollers. If they want to convince voters that they will make their lives better, they need to be identified with policies that will make their lives better. Some of these should be obvious. Raising the minimum wage to $18 an hour is a straightforward one. You cannot live on any less. Minimum wage hikes always poll well, and when referendums have appeared on the ballot, they win even in heavily Republican states like Arkansas. And there is now extensive research showing that modest increases in the minimum wage do not result in job losses. Workers want to join unions but are stifled by current labor laws. Strong protections for workers' rights should go a long way here. Suppose we not only had worker-friendly National Labor Law Board, but we also had serious sanctions for violations. I suspect fewer bosses would break the law if they were looking at jail time. That would at least be symmetric. A union official faces jail time if they ignore a court's back to work order. It seems an employer who continually breaks the law to obstruct workers' effort to organize should face similar consequences. But yet again, we pass laws for business, not for you. We pass laws that says, how will this affect business? We don't pass laws that says, how will this affect humanity? But an item really should be top. The item that should really be on the top of the list is universal Medicare, Medicare for all. Why? Because this is going to hit everybody. And while a lot of people are not sick at one time, just about everybody is responsible for paying premiums in case they get sick. And when these premiums get out of whack, that's when America sees the fraud, the fraud, the fraud. And that is where we need to be. But Trump and Republicans' radical attack on the current hodgepodge system of providing health care, coupled with Trump's extreme use of executive power, convince me that we can move quickly in the direction. You see, our brother Dr. Dean Baker wasn't so sure if we could really quickly move to Medicare for all. I remember discussing this issue with him several times, but now he's convinced. In moving toward universal Medicare, it is important to recognize the distinction between the budgetary implications and the real demand on resources. There's no doubt that universal Medicare program will require a large amount of additional spending, although the increase can be exaggerated. I want to pause for a second. That statement, I'm sorry that he wrote that statement in that fashion, and let me tell you why. Yes, Medicare for all would mean the government spend a lot more money. A lot more money. but that money currently is still being spent, but mostly wasted and going towards rich people. What do I mean? The government is going to spend, let's say, an extra four, five, $600 billion. I'm just calling numbers here. But everybody who goes out and buy a plan, a healthcare plan for their family, everybody who buy healthcare, every corporation who has to buy healthcare for their people, they're going to spend money not in taxes but out of pocket. Suppose, hear me well, people, suppose if instead of giving that $8,000 or $10,000 or $12,000 a year to those private insurance companies, you gave $5,000 as a tax increase that covers all of your health care. No deductibles, no copay, nothing. You get a card. And if you need health care, you take your card and you go to the center that gives you health care. That is what a humane healthcare system looks like. We don't ask to be sick. Why do we have to be wealthy to be cared for if we're sick? So that's the one part of his article that I would change. It will not cost more. It costs less. The problem is, instead of giving money to these charlatanes, these thugs, these thieves with suits and ties, we gave it to we the people to pay the bill, right? Think about it, folks. We have to open our minds to think differently. The corporatocracy, the capitalists would have you believe that this is the way, the best way, the most efficient. It's a lie. It cannot be more efficient if a part of your cost involves giving big pay to executive for bonuses and giving thousands, millions of shareholders a dividend of the premiums you pay. If all of that is gone, which means if it's handled by the government, instead of 18, 20 something percent overhead, we have 2% to administer the program. Don't let them continue to lie to you. Don't let them continue to tell you you're stupid. Because every time they tell you Medicare for all is going to cost more than traditional Medicare or than private health insurance, they're lying to you and they're saying you don't know math. You're stupid. It is impossible for private health care to be more effective and less expensive than Medicare for all, healthcare covering the entire country. It is mathematically impossible. And any insurance salesperson, any insurance executive, any politician who wants to call us right now, we are ready to argue the point. Not argue, we're ready to discuss, dispute, and prove that you are a liar to the American people. You are lying to the American people, and too many have bought it because they bought into an economic system that is a fraud. Continuing. We will save at least, and again, executives, come on, you guys have no problem stealing the money from our American people. Call in and make your case. We will save at least $400 billion a year, 5% of the federal budget, on what we pay the insurance industry to shuffle papers. We throw away $400 billion to insurance companies. Prescription drugs and other pharmaceutical products would also be cheap if the government didn't give out patents, monopolies for these items. When I wrote this book, as I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, the thing that irked me the most was the patent system. The patent system is another system that is used. Look, our knowledge, even the knowledge to create drugs and all of that, didn't come from one corporation, didn't come from one company. It's our collective knowledge developed at universities and colleges and think tanks and everywhere that we, the people, funded through the NIH and other programs. And don't let anybody fool you. Private companies corporations do not take risks. They do not take risks. We, the people, The universities spend decades investing in figuring out substances, what's lethal, what solves this. And after a private company sees that, hey, that drug has potential, then and only then do they pick up the research and start to really make something out of it. They don't do anything out of benevolence for the American people. Every corporation's sole purpose, and I don't have a problem with it, but let's keep it out of healthcare. Every corporation's sole purpose of existence is to make a profit for its shareholders and bonuses and high salaries for its executives. That's the definition of a corporation. No corporation come into existence to be benevolent. No for-profit corporation exists to do good. It first and foremost exists to make a profit. Not a problem. You want to make pizzas? Fine. You want to make cars? Fine. But don't make your profit motive solely a factor for folks wanting health care. Now, it would be cheap. We will spend over $700 billion this year for drugs that would likely cost $150 billion in a true free market. Remember, I told you all, Brother Dean isn't saying this. Dr. Dean Baker isn't saying this. But in effect, he's just said capitalism is a fraud in healthcare. Here's what he says. He said, we will spend over $700 billion this year for drugs that would likely cost around $150 billion in the free market, in what I call free enterprise, not capitalist enterprise, free enterprise. Here is a capitalist economist, not using standard words, telling you that our economic system is a fraud. If it tells you that drugs would be $150 billion instead of $700 billion, that implies if all things being equal, this economist tells you that, he's telling you the economic system is a fraud if you are paying $700 billion for something that costs $150 billion. Folks, please, we have to stop allowing them to make us dumb and stupid. That's how they profit. They don't know any more than you do. They're not more intelligent than you are. They are just more evil. Because to be able to do this to people, one has to have a degree of evil. Unfortunately, it is systemic because it is systemic and abstracted. Because many of those, in fact, impacting this evil onto us, they don't know they are doing so because the system is on autopilot. And that's what we are here for, to inform, to educate, to open one's eyes. Contrary to what is often asserted, government makes drugs expensive. Why? Because we have a patent system that the government enforces. That is why drugs are expensive. When you develop a drug, you charge $100,000 a year for that drug because there's nobody else that's going to build that drug, even though that drug, the initial enzymes, etc., was created by we the people. We the people. We the people. We can triple this sum and make all findings fully open. By the way, I want to say something because this is important. I'm not going to read it directly because he's too word in the way he says it. But let me tell you this. Right now, if we had Medicare for all, one of the big arguments is, wait a minute, if we have Medicare for all, that will flood the doctor's offices. That will flood the requirement for drugs. That would flood all these things. And they're right. They're right. If we open up healthcare, it wouldn't do it for me because I have healthcare, good health insurance through my wife's job, right? And I never use it. I take care of myself. I run. I lift weights. I spin, lift weights. I try to eat fairly healthy. Now, my wife has lupus. She has to use it. And my daughter has had 2 strokes. And of course, she needs some care as well. But most people don't have to use a whole lot of healthcare. But there will be a small sect of people that, wow, they got healthcare for the first time and they'll go in. A lot of people would find diseases that would have killed them 10 years down the road. They'll find it early. But understand what they're saying. If we have Medicare for all, we would flood the system with need. Do you understand what that is really saying? That is really saying that we have an economic system that depends on putting the prices high enough that people who are poor or cannot afford it will simply kill themselves by not going to the doctors, by not getting health care. I want you guys to understand that. Anytime they tell you, if we give Medicare for all, the system will be overwhelmed, understand what they're telling you. They're telling you that only those who can afford health care has the right to live. Understand that. I deny that. I said absolutely not. But what we do need to do, and Brother Dean, Dr. Dean Baker points that out, we need to make medical schools and medical training and for both physicians, physician assistants, nurses, nurses assistants. We need to go on a Manhattan Project and pay for educating people who show the aptitude to do medical work, just like we need to do that with teachers as well. We need to be a society of the educated that can provide these services. We need to invest in that because it is still less expensive than what we have right now. The only difference is that we won't make a whole lot of billionaires billionaires. Because remember, they have no right to be billionaires. They didn't deserve any of the billions that they have. They didn't do the work for that. You did. This isn't wealth envy. This is a statement of fact. Billionaires did not earn it. You did. Elon Musk couldn't program a computer if you gave him a bib. But he's a billionaire, working with a lot of companies that use a whole lot of computer programming. But the programmers are on salaries, standard amount of money. Good money, but standard amount of money. And he gets a piece of the action. It's a flawed economy. It's a flawed economic system, and it permeates itself in healthcare. It permeates itself in engineering. It permeates itself everywhere. All of you out there, from the janitor to the secretary to the engineer to the lawyer to the doc, all of you are being screwed by the system. Doctors work hard. They are You go to a dentist today, they upcharge you. They want to charge you a lot, and you want to hold your ire against that dentist. That dentist just want to make a lot of money. No, that dentist want to pay their damn bills. That dentist want to pay their ridiculous insurance. That dentist want to pay the inordinate cost that they have for their education. That dentist want to do all these things that we, the people, should be doing. It's a flawed economic system. It's flawed. So Medicare, if Democrats want an entry door into winning 2026, every Democrat needs to say the private healthcare system has failed most. The cause has failed most. It has failed most. And as such, we support Medicare for all. We release the papers that show how much it's going to save. And immediately we have a Manhattan Project to start educating doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, pharmaceuticals, and all of that. And we take away the patent system from drug development, and we invest in developing the drugs. We don't need a corporate sector to invest in drugs that has a piece of the action has to go to the investor. A piece of the action has to go to these different places. Medicare for all is the answer to the healthcare system. It's not a question. It's not a possibility. It's a statement of mathematical fact. It's a statement of mathematical fact. So, folks, I hope those of you that are listening to me become the banner carriers, become the people who are going to force these politicians, force the hands of them. Those of you who are being romanced by Medicare folks claiming they're selling Medicare, realize they're selling you Medicare Advantage and say no. Say, I want, get a video, get a tape your conversation with these people and say, I am making sure that what I am getting is Medicare, the traditional Medicare with a standard Medicare program. I do not want Medicare Advantage, Medicare plus Medigap, and tape the conversation so that if they deceive you, you have the tape with you. I do not want Medicare Part C. I do not want Medicare Advantage. I must have Medicare with traditional with the tradition. Now there a lot of people are going to say, but what if you can't afford the premiums? Only under that solution, only when you are very poor, will I say, hold on, you may have to get this Part C till we save you with Medicare for all. But then you need to be in the fight with us for Medicare for all. But anybody who has a few dollars, invest in yourself. Medicare traditional and only Medigap should you have to pay for. Folks, I am telling you, we are in existential times where you're continuously screwed by our corporate sector. We have to stop. We have to wake up. We have to enlighten ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. And I'd like anybody who's supporting this evil of Medicare Advantage that wants to call and try to defend it, do so now. Tag, come on in.
Good morning, Berto. How you
Good
doing?
morning, my brother. Talk to me, sir.
Well, I could go on the last 20 minutes of your show about this topic you've been talking about. I'm retired and I'm on a Medigap now, and or not a Medigap, excuse me, an Advantage plan, and going through some health issues with them. And yeah, we could talk another hour about just what I've been going through.
There you go.
But I'm gonna save you the pain of. I mean, it isn't really that bad, but it's just the roadblocks they throw out for you that you got to knock down and get around to get your health care taken care of, and it's not always easy. But so I'm going to leave the Advantage issue for a minute here and talk about something else, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, my brother.
I want to, and I don't know how many people are aware of this, but the power companies are being forced to keep coal burning plants open, and it's going to cost us a lot in our electric bills very soon. And some of them have already been tore down, some of the coal plants. The ones that are still open, Trump is forcing them to stay open even though the power companies want to close them, because it costs them more to operate a coal plant than it does renewables. And Trump is artificially trying to make sure that that it looks like coal plants are needed when they're rapidly being replaced by wind and solar. And he doesn't want anybody to know that wind and solar is taking over both the coal plants and the nuclear power plants. And they can still kind of generate electricity with gas. That's not going to last very long economically either. So, I'm in Michigan. We have a coal-fired power plant that was slated to be mothballed and tore down, and Trump is forcing us, the power companies here, to keep that plant open, and it's going to cost us more in our electric bills. Every person who uses electricity, which is everybody, is going to pay more because he's forcing the power plants to stay open, coal-burning plants. So people should take that to heart. He's not helping our budgets at all. He's forcing us to pay more for everything.
No,
So
you're absolutely right about that, and in fact, people are going to start seeing the rise. And it's not only the rise from coal; that is the immediate effect is increase in cost in electricity, but the secondary effect are the externalities, things like more pollutants in the air, which will, I don't know if people forgot the times that we used to have this stuff known as acid rains. Yes, there are scrubbers now in the stacks of coal burning plants that sort of remove a whole lot of that stuff. But guess what? With the reduction in support for environmental laws, what that means, if even if your scrubber goes bad or whatever, you keep that plant running because hey, they're not checking the quality of the air anyway, and to hell with acid rain that's going to start falling again. But anyway, thank you for that tag, and you have a wonderful rest of your day. Got to go to Ilan.
You too,
Thank you,
bud.
brother. Thank you, brother. Ilan. Before Ilan comes in, though, I want to say I think Tag was implying, yeah, he has to go through more hoops than he need to in Medicare Advantage, but it does, it's not all that bad. I want to challenge this here. And we have so learned to say, it's not all that bad because we have been conditioned to feel that whenever you have a health problem, you have paperwork to fill out. Whenever you have a health problem, you have to go through hoops before you get health care. I spoke about my wife getting jackknifed in an accident, and there she's in an ambulance with them asking her she just got banged up in a school bus, and they're trying to figure out how they're gonna get paid. It's a fraud. I mean, folks, we can't get used to just things being a little, they sending you through hoops, not for healthcare, not for certain things. Leave that for buying a car. Come on, Ilan.
Yeah, this is Alon representing Policy Starts the Left. I agree with you, but I'm not going to talk about it for 40 minutes, single payer health care and so forth. But I want to offer some additional perspectives for our listeners on the two-party corporate controlled system. California is the only state that can elect 5 Democrats to offset the 5 Republicans that may be in Texas. But Republican majorities in state governments in so many other states can still elect even more gerrymandered representatives and get a margin of the obsolete electoral college, with its racist history. So what we need to emphasize, besides Medicare for all, single-payer health care, is ranked choice voting, and to get money out of politics, have a government pool of money paid from taxes that's equally divided between registered candidates so that nobody has these billionaires giving them an advantage. So that's my say, policy starts the left is in.
I agree 100% ranked choice voting. Also agree that we also need to do, what he's talking about getting money out of politics and funding elections. That's not going to occur in the short term. And the reason that's not going to occur in the short term is because again, the functionally speaking, it's what should I say? Well, I shouldn't really say that. I shouldn't really say that's going to occur in the short term. We just need to fight for that, as Ilan said, because Medicare for all is a heavy lift as well. So I'm wrong for saying that. Ilan is absolutely right. We ought to fight for all of them, not just for the Medicare for all. But as far as this subject, I think, Ilan, we need to spend the time on Medicare for all. Now it's affecting people's pocketbooks right now. It's affecting people's lives, people's health right now, and we must spend the time on it. And I think I have not spent enough time as we're getting into the Medicare, where people have to sign up for Medicare and the ads are getting ever more deceptive. I think we have to spend a little bit of time every single day for every new person that's listening to us to ensure that they don't sign up for Medicare and they go for Medicare Advantage, and that they go for traditional Medicare with a Medigap program. It's imperative. It is imperative that we do that. I mean, I can't be more forceful on that. Folks in the chats, I thank you for all the great commentary. I can't read them all. I did see one from Glenn that says, "Isn't that a majority of them who don't support Medicare for all?" We had reached near parity for that, Glenn. But like I said, now we need to make it a litmus test. We need to make it a litmus test in the primary. If you support Medicare for all, you get my primary vote. If you don't, you don't. All right, let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yes. Adam Schiff is a senator from what state? Would that be
California.
California, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Why is his primary residence in Maryland? And he's paying taxes in the state of Maryland.
Brian, if you're going to call to enlighten this program on something that affects people, please do. I am not going to sit down here and talk the silly, childish things about where is this house or residence and all of that, because then I'm not going to go in a tit for tat for Trump does this and this person
Did
does
he
that.
break the
So
law?
give me something of that tickles the people that are listening right now. Help them. What do you want to add
Yeah.
to the
Did he break the
discussion?
law? Is he
All
breaking
right.
the law?
Thank you, Brian. All right, folks. Let me tell you. Let me go ahead. I am not going to any longer. We are going to talk about things that are substantive to people's lives. That's what we're going to talk about. Things that are substantive to people's life. I'm not going to waste time on the incidentals because that is what they want. You waste time on all of that. You don't discuss the issues that I mentioned, that I read about earlier, all these things that are affecting us. Let me get to some of your chats since the phones are currently empty. Beth Andrews says, well, let me get a little bit further top. Many states, from Sandra Dingler, many states do not allow those on disability to get anything but Medicare Advantage. This happened to my husband, and his treatments were denied by his Medicare Advantage plan, leaving us with $85,000 out of pocket bills that we're still paying. I can't give advice of what you should do, but if I start to find myself in places like in a situation like that, I would find ways to get rid of all my assets in that to somehow let it stay in the family in a legal way and absolutely go bankrupt. I'm just saying. It's a fine in a capitalist system, it's a financial procedure to do. Guess who did it? Your president did it. Donald Trump did it 6 times. To stiff people, he's done it 6 times. So anybody who have these crazy bills from from the corporate sector, I never thought like this before. I paid all of my bills. All of the times I pay all of my bills, everything that I signed up for. I paid. Great credit score. But I'm going to tell you something, folks, and I mean this to the depths of my heart. If something in healthcare causes me to somehow lose the family's estate or something like that, meaning your house, your cars, all of that makes a part of your estate, I will do what's necessary to file bankruptcy. Do not pay. I will not. I can't tell you what to do. I will not take pay the hard-earned dollars over years for thugs. Jimmy, come on in.
I wanted to talk about Gaza. Netanyahu over there is bombing the people in Gaza. He's restricting the aid coming in there. People are starving. It's horrible what Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, is doing to the poor people in Gaza. That man is the second worst person in the world after Putin. And I really think the United States needs to speak up more about what's going on in Gaza. We need to restrict aid to Israel. And it's sad these people are getting very thin. When they bring them food, they are lining up with pans to get food, and sometimes they're being shot at by Israeli soldiers. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, 33 people had died because of Netanyahu bombing the people in Gaza, and he wants to take over the whole area with his military. Our country needs to speak up more against Netanyahu and what Israel's doing to the poor people in Gaza.
Jimmy, Thank you for pointing that out, and you're absolutely right. It's a genocide that is occurring in Gaza right now, and I think any person of moral of any person with any form of morality can see that, can watch that, can I mean, it's not hard for you to see. For us to deny that makes us just as bad as Netanyahu. I am sorry when we see people
Yeah,
skin and bones. You're so right, Jimmy. Thanks for bringing that up.
we've killed about 60,000 people there too. So it's really horrible what Israel's doing to Gaza.
Gotta go, gotta go. Thank you very much for that. Very good point, brother Jimmy. Very good point. Let me throw it to the studio, and then I'll come right back.
Oh, nothing here. Just a wise decision to not get sidetracked with Brian's nonsense. What you got, Jack? Okay, go ahead. Take it home, Egbert.
All right. Anyway, folks, I want to thank Janet, lady historian. It's never happening. Sandra Dingler, Beth Andrews, Judy, Cowboy Hats. I didn't call you guys out before. John A, John W. Guys, love you all. Can't reach all of you. Rob Greiger, Karma Smith Boston, Beth Andrews, para ver Melanie, Carolyn, Frank Tumble, Cheryl Grenia, Virginia. A lot of you came in afterwards, and of course in our chat, Lee the Beer Cat, halfway, Lee the Glenn Ryan. Thank you for being here, all of you. Now, folks, we have to take the bull by the horns. Please, please hear what I'm saying. If you didn't get it completely, go to the archives. Check out the program, what we talk about, Medicare for All. It's so darn important. The rest of the program can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Likewise, you can reach me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government buy-in for the people. Texas and California took further steps in a congressional gerrymandering arms race as the Texas Senate approved a congressional redistricting map likely to gain 5 GOP seats in the midterm. In retaliation, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill also with gerrymandering